I am Mrs. Ruby Merlot. As a cultural, colorful pouring icon, I dress for every pour as one would naturally dress for dinner. I channel my muse with a quick vocal exercise, then ask my canvas what it wants to be. And now that you know my story, shall we pour?
Gracious viewers, today we have a tropical colored striped swipe I'm calling Tutti Frutti, from the Italian for all fruit. Once a popular ice cream and also a lively song by Little Richard. My antique goblets rest attractively on my vintage cake plate. I like to accessorize my pours as well as myself, you know. I begin with a vocal exercise. Tutti frutti, tutti frutti, tutti fruit. And then I ask my canvas what it wants to be. Before we get too far into this, I must beg your forgiveness for the unacceptable quality of this video. Mr. Merlot was at his club when inspiration struck. I had to do this paint pour and I couldn't wait for him to return to man the camera. So I called on the closest thing to a videographer I know, my dear friend Bella. She takes most all the photos of our society events that appear in the local paper I own, and she always corners us to show off her grandchildren in her tedious little phone videos. But I discovered a simple hobbyist does not a paparazza make. When Mr. Merlot arrived home, he worked quite hard to get the footage into shape, but perhaps not hard enough. As you can see, I begin by pouring stripes of these lovely colors, each mixed with a few drops of silicone. In retrospect, I should have poured them completely off the edges on both sides. In a stripe swipe, there is often very little tilting, so carrying the paint to the edges makes it easier to ensure they're covered. And here comes the white, with no silicone added. I fill in spaces between colors to keep that paint flowing, then pour a healthy stripe across the left edge to drag over the colors with my heavy plastic divider from the Goodwill. Though it usually is rugged enough to pull the paint uniformly, this time it missed, or I did. So I re-swipe and re-swipe. At first I am concerned that overworking will cause my colors to muddle, but as the cells open up and I begin tilting, that dull muddled haze seems to clear. Too bad life's experiences do not always meet with the same outcome. During last week's trivia night at the country club, in a tied game, my teammate Mitzi Cranmore was asked the final question: what is the only fork that is placed to the right of the spoons? Well, you can imagine my excitement upon hearing that. So obvious I could taste victory. Instead, Mitzi's face took on that same dull, muddled haze. Not something one could swipe away, I'm afraid. Finally, she stammered, "The pickle fork?" A collective gasp filled the room. Humiliated, Mitzi slumped in her chair and the other team cheered in triumph. Of course, we all knew, as I'm sure you must, that it is the oyster fork. I torch a bit, but the foils are so splendid already it's not really needed. But palette knife touch-ups are, and that pesky corner takes some serious work to get it covered. close-ups, though Bella didn't get many, I'm afraid. Scusi, as the Italians say, but please subscribe to my YouTube channel as my status in my social circle must be maintained.